Ready. I pledge
Pledge allegiance
to
to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2.
Okay. Randy, at this
Well,
point.
do we have any introductory comments from the district commissioner?
No, but I will have some comments later on as a commissioner's moment,
Okay.
and we'll address Scout Law, Scout Oath issues at that time.
Okay. Shall I go ahead, Stephen?
Yes, Randy. Let me get your presentation brought up. And I don't want... Okay, so I have that. I'm ready to follow the bouncing ball. So you tell me when you need what.
Okay, all right. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Randy Foster with PAC 85, Troop 4, but I'm wearing my gray tonight because that's what was on my shirt. Tonight's roundtable is about singing and scouting. You all know me, and you know I'm kind of wacky, and I like to sing, and I think it's important that we sing, and I'll explain some of that in a little while. So a few months ago we were talking, and Bill suggested that I do a presentation, so here we go. Robert Baden-Powell said that the spirit is there in every boy. It has to be discovered and brought to light. And when I hear that quotation, of course, I think about scouting spirit, because that's the spirit that we're trying to elicit in youth. And so let's start with the idea of, what's the scouting spirit we're talking about. It may be even a little harder to grasp than the Holy Spirit. Scouting spirit can be defined in a lot of different ways, but all of our scouts BSA rank requirements call on them to provide an operational definition of scouting spirit by demonstrating scout spirit by living the oath and the law. So living the oath and the law is, if not scout spirit itself, is the evidence that you've got it. It's the symptoms of good scout spirit. So what one thing can help youth when they're being challenged to be loyal and friendly and kind and obedient and cheerful and brave and reverent? What can help them? I think song can. Even Scripture teaches us that song can play a powerful role in life. Proverbs 25:20 says, "Whoever sings songs to a heavy heart is like one who takes off a garment on a cold day and like vinegar on soda." Both of these things are effervescent. It's very bracing when you take your jacket off on a cold day, and vinegar on soda gives you a lovely eruption. James 5:13 says, "Is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. Is anyone cheerful? Let him sing praise." So we've got the Bible on our side when it comes to singing. Now, there's a story I'd like to share with you from Baden-Powell's life, showing how music and song made an impact on him. And this story is about the, and I can't pronounce this very well, but the very first, or like the second thing they sing in the Circle of Life song, Ingonyama. This is the Ingonyama chant, which is one of many ancient battle cries of the Zulu warriors, and one that Baden-Powell first heard in Zululand, which is now the province of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. In 1888, Captain Baden-Powell was part of a column searching for the Zulu chief, Dinizulu, who was leading the Ushutu people in a revolt against the British colonists. And the column was joined by John Donne, who was a white Zulu chief who led an impi, an army of about 2,000 Zulu warriors to join the British. And BP is quoted as saying, "I heard a sound in the distance, which at first I thought was an organ playing in church. And I thought for a moment that we must be approaching a mission station over the brow of the hill. But when we topped the rise, we saw moving toward us from the valley below 3 long lines of men marching in single file and singing a wonderful anthem as they marched. Every now and then, one man would sing a few notes of a solo, which were then responded to by an immense roar of sound from the whole impi, of deep bass voices and higher tones singing in harmony." So having seen that, having heard that, having gotten this feeling of the identity of that group, it's no wonder that BP said, "A scout smiles and whistles under all circumstances." Music is just at the heart of scouting. Now, to give you a little idea of how scouting was identified with singing back in its formative years, let's take just a minute to watch a bit of a scene of Fred McMurray leading his scouts in the movie Follow Me, Boys.
Hey guys, I got a marching song for us. Follow me, boys, follow me.
He's getting the audio ring.
Pick 'em up, put 'em down, and follow me.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Well, it's something our old outfit used to sing over in France. We made it up about this sergeant we had, Sergeant Riley. He was always hollering, "Follow me."
Well, then sing it, Lamb.
Well, let's see now. How'd the verse go? Sergeant Riley said, "There's a fight to win. Follow me, boys, follow me. And it won't be done till we all pitch in. Lift your chin with a grin and follow me." Now the chorus. Follow me, boys, follow me.
When you think you're ready, there's a time to lift your feet and follow me, boys, follow me. Pick 'em up, put 'em down, and follow me. Pick 'em up, put 'em down, pick 'em up.
Follow me, boys, follow me.
When you think you're ready, there's a time to lift your feet and follow me, boys, follow me. Pick 'em up, put 'em down, and follow me. Pick 'em up, put 'em down, pick 'em up. It's a long, long climb, but we got the will. Follow me, boys, follow me. When we reach the top, then it's all downhill. Till you drop, don't you stop and follow me. Follow me, boys, follow me. When you think you're really beat, that's the time to lift your feet and follow me.
Come on,
boys, follow me. Pick 'em up and put 'em down and follow me.
Thank you, Steve.
Did that work properly?
It worked well enough. I heard it. It froze, at least from me, but that's okay.
Okay.
There are a lot of reasons to sing. And I'll just run down this list that I found. Singing releases endorphins and oxytocin. Endorphins are hormones that increase feelings of euphoria and pleasure. Oxytocin is also known as the cuddle hormone. We won't cuddle, I promise, because it's released when people snuggle up. It's known to decrease stress and anxiety. Both of these hormones can make you feel better in general and decrease any pain you may be feeling. So, what better way to make youth and attending adults feel good about an event? Sing together. Have fun in that. And they'll associate that event with the pleasure they're feeling. And they'll come back for more. Singing improves cognition. Several studies have concluded that singers and musicians typically have higher IQs than non-musicians. I wonder about the IQ part as much as just that they may work a little harder, and they may, through the music, use parts of their brain other people don't. Singing leads to a longer life. A joint Yale and Harvard study showed that for some people living in New Haven, Connecticut, choral singing promoted healthy minds and hearts, which increased life expectancy. You can't live forever, but you can sing till you die. So let's try it. Singing lowers your blood pressure. There have been several case studies that have revealed that singing can decrease blood pressure due to its calming and relaxing effect. Music hath charms to soothe the savage breast. We've known this for a long time. Singing can tone up your facial muscles, your diaphragm, and your intercostal muscles. When you sing, you breathe deep, you project. It's good exercise. Singing can increase empathy and understanding between cultures. Think about the music that you've heard that isn't something that you've necessarily listened to in earlier days in your life. I mentioned the movie from The Lion King. You hear those first few notes, and everybody knows what it is, and everybody is immediately carried to the African steppe, or savannah rather. I've got a particular group I listen to that, of all things, is Jewish bluegrass, and you've not lived till you've sung some bluegrass songs in Hebrew. Singing can develop the lungs and give you better posture. You stand up straight and you sing. And a big thing that it does is bring people together and create a sense of community. Obviously, in our religious practices, we see the use of music and song and how that can draw people together. You can just imagine what, churches and synagogues and other houses of worship are going to sound like when people can actually get back and engage in singing. It can even help patients with Parkinson's disease. There have been studies that show that singing can improve vocal and swallowing control and help with balance. Singing improves your memory. Even if you can't remember all the lyrics to a song, there's no question that it helps you to draw things out of your memory. And in this day and time, probably most important, singing can boost your immunity. It lowers your blood pressure. You have lower cortisol levels, decreases stress. And you'll have a positive effect on your immune system. So singing saves you. For scouting purposes, I want to focus on the fact that singing brings people together and creates this sense of community. Singing is appropriate at all levels of scouting. We know with our Cub Scouts, they're unabashedly enthusiastic, or most of them are. I've got a couple of kids in Pack 85 who, when we sing certain songs, they want to be up there leading it. And I encourage that, of course, because if they are comfortable in that way and getting in front of people, they'll be a little more inclined to get in front of people in the future. Older scouts are, of course, easily embarrassed. They are so cool. And they need encouragement and permission to be silly. And singing together as a group, leaders being willing to get up in front of them and do silly things yourself, can kind of pull them into the whole singing process. And when you're on a hike and you're getting tired, or even if you're not tired yet, but the way ahead of you is long, singing together passes the time and helps to maintain, a cadence and a step. And I at least have found it to be very useful when Steve and I are given to, hiking somewhere together, very frequently we'll end up breaking into song. You know, the animals cower for cover, but we like to sing. Steve, if you would now open up the song book that I put together. This is just a collection of songs that I've curated. Nothing special about it. One thing I did try to do is, for the most part, choose songs where I thought that people would know the music. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I've categorized the songs into, you know, a number of categories. There are scouting spirit songs, and we're going to look in a minute and kind of walk through the whole songbook. There are fun comedy songs. There are patriotic themes that are covered. There are what I call religious / inspirational themes. And then I collected some secular Christmas items. One thing that I'm sensitive to, you know, it's going to vary from unit to unit, the nature of the religious practice of the youth. And so, you know, I did, obviously, those who are Christian, you know, there's a whole panoply of songs there. Some are better known than others. Some are unknown. And I did not go down that particular rabbit hole for this particular situation. Obviously, in the circumstance of a Scout Zone service, like at a camporee, whoever organizes will select songs, if any, for that. Although, and I would encourage people, you know, there are some songs that are pretty ubiquitously known, and to the extent that it's a, you know, put on as a Christian service, I would encourage people to have a song or two. People know how to sing; they've heard it. There are those among our group who know how to sing a cappella and will be glad to lead. So let's just kind of scroll through and look at the songs I've collected. Be kind to your scouting friends. From, you know, using music from Stars and Stripes Forever. Don't ever resist the impetus to take a familiar song and write your own words to it. There can be all sorts of fun to be had doing that. So, you know, just if the tune is one people know and you come up with different words, it's easy to sing that. And we'll have a few examples in here of some kind of unusual songs that use familiar verses. So when you're down and feeling blue, call a scout. They will know just what to do. Call a scout. So, you know, easy, simple, but, you know, a good song for
You want to listen to the scout meeting? The district meeting? Yeah. What do you say no?
Well, how do I do it?
You sit and watch it.
Just sit here like this?
Thank you.
Hi, Sanda. Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Turn that off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we've got Follow Me Scouts here instead of Follow Me Boys, so we can include everybody. Hum on the Range. I've got that scouting spirit. You know, I've got that scouting spirit up in my head and in other places. Next page, Steve. Scouting Thunder. I'd kind of like to hear people sing. You know, we can't sing it together. That's one of the things I regret about this particular meeting. That, you know, we light the light of scouting. We give the flight to eagles. We light the light of scouting throughout the world. We'll never be hiked under. Listen To our scouting thunder, we light the light of scouting throughout the world. I mean, can't you just imagine, you know, a patrol marching along, doing that at a camporee? I mean, that could get pretty, make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. You know, if you can't sound good, at least intimidate the opposition. Take me out to the scout camp's a good one. Yeah. The old Cubmaster had a pack, E-I-E-I-O, and in his pack he had some dens, E-I-E-I-O, with a lion den here and a tiger den there. Here's some wolves, there's some bears, weebelos and AOLs. The old Cubmaster had a pack, E-I-E-I-O. Okay, next section, Steve. So fun and comedy. You got to have fun. So, you know, my pack likes the coming of the frogs. Mine eyes have seen the horror of the coming of the frogs. You know, and a chorus of ribbit, 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 croak, croak. It just doesn't get better than that. And then there's one, creepy crawlers to the tune of Frere Jacques, and creepy crawly bugs to the tune of Old MacDonald. Do your ears hang low? That's a classic. Down by the Bay. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people call and shout, or always shout, there goes John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Da, 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 da. So you can repeat that ad nauseum. The Happy Wanderer is a good one. On top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese.
Spaghetti, all covered with cheese.
And then there's the ping pong ball song, which I want to try. Oh, a scout had a game with a ping pong ball. Oh, a scout had a game with a ping pong ball. Oh, a scout had a game with a ping pong ball, with a ping pong ball. That could be fun. And Tarzan of the Apes is the favorite in Pack 85. They do love their coconuts, bananas, and grapes. A couple of songs here that I've found. The Pinewood Plea and Tom the Toad at the Pinewood Derby. These are both songs to familiar music, and they're about Pinewood Derby, which is kind of fun because it gives you a thematic song to enjoy. And I just love the Pinewood Plea. You know, give back, oh, give back my car kit to me. Give back, oh, give back my car kit to me. Because of the fact that mom and dad frequently do too much work. Now, some of you may not be able to carry a tune in a bucket. That doesn't mean you can't sing. First of all, you can try. But not all songs are necessarily musical. You see right here we have 3 short neck buzzards. Oh, Steve, I think we need to learn 3 short neck buzzards. and you're going to be faking it here like Rex Harrison did as Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady. He didn't sing. He just spoke.
Almost got it. Give me just a second. Trying to go there. Share the computer sound. So sharing a video. There, share, and here we go.
This takes just a little time to wind up.
Sit down.
I've never been one before. I've never been one before.
Okay. Am I gonna see you? We're gonna get started.
Should we run this one?
All right, you guys ready?
Go back a little.
Okay, come. All right, take 2 steps back.
2 steps back, guys.
All right, you ready?
Here we go.
3 short neck buzzards. 3 short neck buzzards. 3 short neck buzzards sitting in a dead tree. One flew away. Oh, what a shame. 2 short neck buzzards. 2 short neck buzzards. 2 short neck buzzards sitting in a dead tree.
And that's dead
One flew away. Oh, what a
One flew
away over a train. No short-necked buzzards. No short-necked buzzards. No short-necked buzzards. Sitting in a dead tree. One has returned. Let us rejoice. One short-necked buzzard. One short-necked buzzard. One short-necked buzzard. Sitting in a dead tree. One has returned. Let us rejoice. Two short-necked buzzards. Two short-necked buzzards. Two short-necked buzzards. Sitting in a dead tree. Two have returned. Let us rejoice. Four short-necked buzzards. Four short-necked buzzards. Four short-necked buzzards. Sitting in a dead tree. Yeah.
So there you go. You don't have to sing it all. Okay. If you would, Steve, take us back real quick to the
Yes, sir.
songbook.
Trying to get there.
That's fine. And let's just kind of cover the other categories. Let's see. I selected some patriotic songs, you know, My Country 'Tis of Thee, America the Beautiful, Battle Hymn of the Republic, God Bless America, Your Grand Old Flag, and the Star Spangled Banner, and This Land Is Your Land. So, you know, good songs to sing around the campfire or at other events. You know, as a patriotic organization, these songs should be in our blood. And, you know, kids are not getting these songs taught to them in schools, I don't think, the way my generation did. So, you know, hopefully this will serve as a resource and as an inspiration to encourage our youth to take the lead in leading their fellows in singing. Among the religious inspirational songs, Amazing Grace is sort of one of our national religious songs. Inspirational, actually have a couple of things that are from Peter, Paul, and Mary, because they kind of filled that need. Blowing in the Wind, Got the Whole World in His Hands. God of Our Fathers is another one of our sort of national hymns. How Great Thou Art is generally known. If I Had a Hammer, obviously, Taps is a song that we mostly know, but ought to use more. Scout Vespers I've got in here, and we'll actually hear that a little later as a part of our closing. And then I threw another couple that I found. This is My Father's World is a nature-related song that's probably pretty well known. When You Are a Knight is a song that I pulled, I think, out of the songbook that was given to my brother at Woodbadge. Thank you. I could see where your woggle will be someday. So we frequently, especially in Cub Scouts, but there's no reason not in Boy Scouts as well, to use notions of chivalry to try to inspire more noble behavior. And as you'll see, as I said, I added some Christmas songs that are secular. Again, depending on your particular unit, religious songs may be entirely appropriate. Other units not so much. So at this point, I thought what I would do is ask those who are in attendance to mention what popular songs aren't here. Maybe you can email me at randyfosternashville@gmail.com and give me your suggestions, because this songbook obviously as an electronic matter can be added to. I guess one thing I would like to talk about a little bit before I ask you what songs aren't here, because I know there are some that I intentionally didn't put in. An awful lot of our older scouting songs don't quite cut the mustard in our more sensitive and politically correct world. God Bless My Underwear is more likely to cause offense today than it would have in 1960. Another thing that I've tried to be cognizant of, there are songs that we all knew 20 years ago that today's youth have never heard. So, the idea of ghost chickens in the sky, again, a fun song, a funny song, but the kids aren't going to know the tune. So, we need to know who our audience is. So, what songs do other people like and actually use with their units? You have to speak up.
Our boys are too cool to sing. You know that, Randy.
I know. I try to make them sing, and occasionally they do.
I found it much easier to get Cub Scouts to sing than it was to get to ever get Boy Scouts to sing. Yeah, they're just too cool.
Yeah. Although once you get them out, it can be fun. There was one summer camp with Troop 4 where one of the boys had brought his guitar, and we spent several evenings going through his Beatles songbook, singing Beatles songs. And, you try to figure out what does Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds really mean? I don't know, but let's sing. or the Walrus, or It's Been a Hard Day's Night. That fits summer camp pretty well. So, one thing I'd encourage you to do is find your musical youth and press them into service. They'll be embarrassed, but if they are talented, they'll get past that, and their fellows will see, wow, this person is talented, and he's singing and playing, and that means it's okay for me to do it. So in the immortal advice from Wood Badge, use your resources. Anybody else have any songs that have special meaning for your unit? Sanda, what do you do with singing with your Cubs?
We unfortunately haven't done too much of it because of our tax situation. I had to be real careful during the holidays too.
Yeah, right.
But we had some Egyptian Christians in the pack for a while, and one night we had the mother get up with a couple boys and tell how they celebrate Christmas, and they actually celebrate it in January.
Right.
So we had them get up, and we sang a bunch of different holiday songs from here, and it went over pretty well. And then we asked the boys to give us some suggestions, and that went over well, actually. And she said, they actually, and then I had one of the overseas people tell me that I guess this past year that they actually do pretty good in metro schools, public schools, because they get to celebrate 2 holidays. They get one in January if they haven't gone back to Egypt, and they get that area, and then they get our celebration off about those 2 weeks or whatever, and then the religious holidays, they get ours and theirs too. And I hadn't really thought about that, but that's interesting. That's their perspective.
Yeah, and it is kind of funny. I mean, it's just a matter of calendar. It's
right.
You know, back during George Washington's life, we went from the Gregorian to the Julian calendar, and they whacked 11 days out of the calendar.
Yes. But she did a good, I had her speak one evening about how they celebrate. That was quite interesting. And then we asked anybody else if they celebrate other holidays during that time, you know.
Sure.
So that's how we handle the religious issue there.
Yeah. When I do with the PAC at our December PAC meeting, I've got a den leader who is, a professional singer. And when she is able, when she doesn't have a conflict, she brings her keyboard in, and we'll do secular songs. And when she wasn't able to come, for instance, this last Christmas, we did it a cappella, and that worked just fine too. And the kids know the songs, and they sing with gusto and verve, because when you're there, the third week of December, they are in a real Christmas mood. And I feel it's my duty to help encourage their wildness, since they will typically have 1 or 2 more days that week before they're out for the holidays. So, anything I can do to help the teachers, I love to do that. So that pretty well covers what I had intended to cover with this. Singing is all about encouragement. It encourages you. It encourages others. It costs nothing. The important thing is, when it's time to be joyful, make a joyful noise. When it's time to be solemn, you can be solemn. And music and singing can take what is an otherwise rather plain occasion and make it much more special, because music and song speak to the spirit in ways that words don't necessarily do. So with that, I will turn us over to our district commissioner to speak to us about what's going on, and to give us his sage thoughts.
Sage. Well, in the immortal words of Gomer Pyle, thank you, thank you, thank you for putting this together, Randy, and to you, Steve, for providing the technical expertise that we can all meet like this. I want to greet everyone who is here. That would be Wiley and Forrest and Robin and Jim and Sanda, and I assume Roger is with Sanda, as well as Candy. To close, I want to leave you with a thought that occurred to me as I was talking with Candy a couple weeks ago, and that is this. We want to instill within our the Scout Oath and Scout Law, because that helps them to make those ethical and moral decisions over the course of their lifetimes. And a thought occurred to me that we could take the 12 points of the Scout Law and make those points of prayer. No matter what specific religion you have or that you follow, you can still use those as a point of prayer, of affirmation for our scouts. They can use it as points of affirmation for themselves. For example, a scout is kind. One of the things that happened with me some years back, I had the opportunity to participate in an interfaith discussion. And I thought I was going to be looking at Christian faiths. It turned out that I had Baha'is and Buddhists. We had Sikhs. We had Hindu people from faiths from around the world. And the common thread that I heard through all of these faith traditions was that they had a love for their fellow man, every one of them. And to me, that was an inspiring thing to think of. If you are Christian, in Philippians, it talks about chapter 4 and verse 8. They encourage us to say, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. And from my own tradition, as a science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scripture, she writes, hold thoughts steadfastly to the enduring, the good and the true, and you will bring these into your experience proportionably to their occupancy of your thoughts. So as we continue to instill the values of the Scout Oath and Scout Law with all of our venture crews, Explore Sea Scouts, the thing that I think that we need to hold on to is that they are having an effect, and that the Scout Law can provide those points of affirmation to form the prayer with our Scouts. Our next roundtable is going to be in May. If we're meeting, we'll form a patrol to erect a dining fly from scratch. And I will bring a camp recipe that we can all share. I want to thank you for being here tonight, and we'll let Randy and Steve conclude the meeting with Scout Vespers.
Softly falls the light of day as our campfire fades away. Silently, each scout should ask, have I done my daily task? Have I kept my honor bright? Can I guiltlessly tonight? Have I done and have I dared everything to be prepared? Listen, Lord, oh listen, Lord, as I whisper soft and low. Bless my mom and bless my dad, there is something they should know. I have kept my honor bright, the oath and law have been my guide. Mom and Dad, this you should know,